Taberne Talks. I am kicking off a new season here. Okay. So I have been off a little bit here, probably over the last month. You know, summertime gets busy, as we know. And so I wanted to start off the show. We went through 27 episodes straight. You know, we started last October. We went November, December, January, February, March, right through to the end of May. It seems like June and July and even August are your summer months. Typically in the mortgage business, a lot of people go away. People aren't really buying homes. Once you get to the end of June and July, they're on vacation. So I wanted to get the show going here as we head into the end of July and into August, because I think we're going to start turning the corner. I've been saying this for the last 27 episodes with every realtor that I've had on, that the market is eventually going to change. And I think the change is coming. Okay. We've already started to see rates come down, not dramatically, not overnight, but they have come down. Okay. So before we start tonight, because I got a lot of information that I want to touch on, I want to say hi to Jack, right? Jack's with me tonight, right? He's going to be my guest. Hi, Jack. I want to make sure that, he's attentive and he's watching the show with us tonight, and I'm ready to roll. So, I hope that I can give you guys the information that you're looking for. I have given up the last 6 months, but this is really trying to hit home tonight. So let's start off with interest rates, right? I think the almighty question right now is, where are interest rates going? Okay. We have seen over the last 6 months, one day it spikes, the next day it doesn't spike. You're at 8% one day, you're at 6% the next day. I think we're starting to see the turnaround here where they're gradually going down, day by day. All right. I'm starting to see rates more in the 6s, versus what they were in the 8s and the 8 and the 8.5 and the 7.5. I think, knock on wood, that those days are coming to an end. All right. So, where are they going? I think September. And I've said this in the show because I ask every realtor that I have on, what's your prediction on rates by the end of the year? I think by the end of the year, we still are hitting like a 6% interest rate. All right. 6.5 at the very minimum. You're going to see a Fed rate cut coming in September. Okay. They're starting to say, oh, well, it might not happen. Look at the economy. The job numbers are down, right? The retail numbers are not the best that they used to be. Inflation is ticking down. The Fed said that they will not wait until inflation hits 2%, that they're willing to cut rates before inflation hits 2%. Okay, so we really got to watch out now, because once rates come down, I've been telling you guys this, you need to get off the fence probably now if you're going to buy something, because when they do come down, we're going to see a dramatic change in volume, right? People are going to come off the fence. They're going to say, it's 6.5. They're going to jump off the fence. They're going to want to make bids on houses. They're going to want to refinance. We're going to start seeing wait times longer. Service is going to start going down again, because unfortunately, a lot of people lost their jobs over the last 2 years when the rates went up. So the staffing is not as high as it used to be. So I think if you're looking to do something now to buy a home, maybe you start looking right before these rates really do come down, because you could be running into some bidding wars. And I think not only will we see a cut in September, my prediction now I'm not guaranteeing this, because I know everybody's going to comment and say, oh, well, you told me that. No, I'm just giving you a prediction that I think in September we'll see our first cut. I think in November we'll see another cut at election time. And I even think when they do their meeting in December, we see another cut. So that's 3 cuts. What is the key interest rate that's going to motivate people to get off the fence? Okay. This is the question I get asked a lot. Like, what do you think that driving rate's going to be, Alex? Once that's going to motivate people to officially get this housing market going again and get the economy rolling. And I think the key number is 6.5%. I think once rates hit 6.5% on a 30-year fixed conventional, or anything under that, you're going to see a lot of activity, a lot more than you've seen in the last 6 months. So you need to be ready for that. And I applaud that, right? This is the thing that we've been waiting for. Everyone in the mortgage industry has been waiting for the rates to go to 6.25% and 6% and back into the 5s. I think that's officially going to be coming. Hold me to that. Watch this video, at the end of the year, play it back. If I'm right, you owe me something. Well, I'll figure it out by the end of the show what you owe me. But that's what I think is going to happen. So, another question, how many cuts is it going to take, Alex, in order to get the rate back down to 5% even? How many times does the Fed need to cut the rate in order to get the rates back down to 5%? That's not an easy question, right? And I don't like to answer that because I really don't know the true calculation of what it's going to be, right? I do think that if we see multiple cuts, September, November, December, January, February, you're going to start to see more fives. Are you going to see 5% even? That's a stretch. That's going to take a little bit longer. That could be another year before we see that. But I do think that you'll see fives, right? High fives, even mid fives, as we go into the new year, which is Christmas for us because we haven't seen those types of rates in 2 years. So, but I don't think there's any, if there's a loan officer out there that's telling you that there's a magic number of the amount of times that the Fed needs to cut the rate in order to get the rate to 5% even, they're pretty much lying to you because no one has that exact calculation. It's almost impossible to predict. All right. So hang in there. Rates are coming down. I think we're going to have a really good fall. I think the people that made it through, every week we were talking about, all these realtors and loan officers that are getting out of the business and it's weeding out the business as it gets slower and things like that. I think that already happened. I think your survivors now survived. I think the light's coming, right? I have Anthony, who's still with me on my team. He's now on his 6th or 7th month, I believe. He's been closing deals. He's making more relationships. He hung with it, right? He probably went through the darkest time that I've seen in the last 20 years in this business. And for him to get here now, before the rates go down, I applaud him and any other new loan officer that just got into the business over the last year. I applaud you for still being here because it wasn't easy. I mean, I've lost a lot of veteran friends that retired and get out of the business, so I'm happy that that people like him, the newbies, stayed in the business. They stuck with it, and they're going to see a light now coming. Like we're going into August, and they're going to see the light. All right, so there's a big thing that Anthony is a big social media guy, and so am I. I poached the Taberne group to be, a team that needs to be on social media. I was built from that from a few mentors and coaches that I had over the last 5 years that taught me to be on social media. So I really have, any guys that I've had in the past with me know that I'm a big social media guy, big marketer. And I instilled that hopefully in Anthony, which I think he already brought that to the table because he graduated in marketing, right? He had a marketing degree. So he had posted something that I wanted to post, and it's from the almighty Ryan Serhant. And I know there's a lot of Serhant agents that are listening to this too. Ryan Serhant posted the 6 reasons why deals are falling apart right now in the mortgage industry. Okay. This is a big one because there's a lot of deals that I pick up and Anthony picks up from other lenders, or that the reasons why they can't do the deal, or the biggest gripe from a real estate agent, or the biggest gripe from a loan officer, or biggest gripe from a client on why the deal died. So it's 6 reasons why deals fall apart. Number 1, failure to communicate. Okay. You got to communicate in the deal, right? I think communication, I've touched on this many times in the industry. You have to have communication. If you don't have communication, you will not close. You got to communicate with your loan officer. You got to communicate with your realtor. You got to communicate with the title company. You have to communicate. Respond, please. Reply. If someone sends you a text message, you respond. Good news, bad news, but ghosting is going out the door. Okay, because if you ghost people, you will not close. So failure to communicate is the number 1. Not responding, obviously, is the number 2, which leads right into failure to communicate. If you don't respond, you're not going to get anywhere. Setting unrealistic expectations. I think that's the biggest thing right now that I see with other loan officers or other companies. They set expectations with people to say that, yeah, we're going to close in 10 days, okay? Or I don't need your bank statements. Or I don't need your pay stubs, right? You need these things in order to make a deal work. And you can't promise somebody something that you can't deliver on, okay? We don't own the company, right? I'm a loan officer. 90% of the people that are loan officers, right? They're not owners. You got your owners, of course, and they call the shots. You as a loan officer don't call the shots, right? So you might say, yeah, we can close in 8 days. but you might not be able to deliver that. That's setting an unrealistic expectation. You say you don't need bank statements, but you need them. Your processor then sends the borrower an email saying, I need bank statements. The borrower blows up on you and says, well, you told me to need bank statements. That's setting an unrealistic expectation to tell them that we didn't need them to begin with. Okay. You got to be truthful with these people. You got to be truthful with the client. Okay. You can't lie to these people and say, oh, well, I'm not going to need this. I'm not going to need that. Anything that's asked for is asked for. You want somebody to give you a $400,000 loan, they're going to ask you for things. Okay. You're not just going to come in and say, oh, well, I want a $400,000 house and don't ask me for anything. They're going to ask you for things and you have to deliver them. And you have to tell that to the client, this is what we need. So that's a big one. Not knowing your stuff. You got to know your guidelines. I've been saying this for weeks. Know your guidelines. Even sometimes I get stuck up on guidelines. And it's funny, I say that. I have people commenting on the show saying I don't know my guidelines, right? So I know my guidelines. Okay. I have a processor that's been with me for 15 years. I've been in the business 26 years. I'm not going to go through my resume here because it's boring. But I know my guidelines, right? I know my stuff. If I didn't know, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't close what I close and I wouldn't know who I know and make the relationships and the connections that I have. So know your stuff. Approach is stale, right? So you have no personality. You don't know how to talk to people. If you don't know how to talk to people in this business and you don't have a personality, you have a problem. You're not going to be able to communicate then, right? You can't hide behind the phone the whole time texting. You can't hide behind the computer typing. You actually got to sometimes call people or talk to them face to face and let them know what's going on. And if you don't have a good personality or something that can communicate correctly to someone, you're not going to make it. It's a deal killer, okay? And the last one is overly focused on money. All you care about is how much money we're going to make on the deal. You can't. Listen, I was there. I started when I was 27 years old. I wanted to make $20,000 per deal, right? I was like, how much are we making on the deal? I didn't care about the client. I was young. I wanted to make money. I just wanted to move on to the next deal. That's all I cared about. You can't do that. You got to stay focused on getting the deal closed first, getting a relationship, going to the closing, meeting the people, and the money will come. Okay. It's going to take a few years for the money to come. This is what I've been pitching to the new loan officers that I speak to all the day. How long does it take you to make the money that you make? A long time. It's not overnight, but I wasn't overly focused on the money. I learned from mentors that told me, don't focus just on the money. Focus on the relationships and getting the deal to closing, and then the money will follow. Okay. So that's a big one. And so those 6 things really stood out to me. Anthony had posted that. I thought they were great. Things that I wanted to bring up in the show this week, because I think if you follow them and you play this back, if you're a loan officer or a realtor and you're getting into the business, or even if you're a client and you hear these things, then you'll understand what a good loan officer should be doing in order to get you to the closing table. I had a person who got bait and switched over the last week. Bait and switch is when another company tells you that they are going to give you a certain interest rate. And then the week of closing, they come to you and they say, you know what? We're not going to give you that rate anymore. You know why? Because we never locked in your rate to begin with. Great. So you promised me 6.5. You're telling me now that I got 7.25 this week. I'm supposed to close in 5 days from now. What do? Right? You're stuck. They got you in a quarter. They bait and switched you from the beginning. They knew they were never going to give you 6.5 to begin with, but they got you to come in. They got you to sign the paperwork. They got you to do the deal. And then you went to 7.25 out of nowhere overnight. And here you are on my phone saying, can you save me a week before closing? Because I got screwed. I mean, I hate to say it in those blatant terms, but that's really what's happening. You got to watch out for the bait and switch. You know what happens to the people that bait and switch? They go online and they find companies they never heard of. Right? No one knows these companies. And then they go online and they're like, hey, Joe Schmo Mortgage Company is giving 5%. Everybody else is giving 7%, but Joe Schmo Mortgage Company is going to give me 5%. Why can't you match it, Alex? Why can't you match it, Anthony? Why can't you match it, Green Tree? We can't match it because it's not a real rate. Look at the fine print. Talk to the loan officer that you can't get on the phone from Mississippi because they're not a real person. It's a computer that you're talking to. What do you think is going to happen the week of closing? You think the computer's going to say, "Oh, well, we honored 5%." No, they're going to come to you and say you're getting 7% now. Take it or leave it. And you're a week before closing. There's nothing you can do about it. But I applaud the client that I got this week because they actually canceled the deal with the other lender. Talked to the realtors in the situation. We extended the closing another week, and I jumped in, gave them the rate that they should have gotten because the rates did go down over the last 2 weeks. And now they're happy, and now we're going to close them next week. And the bait and switch situation, this other company lost. They're going to lose on their reviews now. These people are going to trash them, right? Because your reputation gets destroyed when you do things like that. And what was it worth? The other company's not going to get paid. The other loan officer's not going to get paid. Why lie to people? You don't get paid. Why bother? The bait and switch is not worth it. But this is to the clients that are in the business buying right now. If you're baiting and switching people, you're going to get burned. They did it back when I worked in Countrywide in 2006. It was the key thing, and most of those loan officers, about 90% of those loan officers are not in the business anymore. They're gone. So that's that. Okay, so we're getting into a busy market, as I said. Pre-approvals are key right now to making sure that you are solid when you make an offer on a home. I've been saying this till I'm blue in the face to anybody I talk to. I've been even saying it on the podcast here again and again. Get your pre-approval done. You don't want your credit ran, you got a problem. You got to get your credit ran. And I mean a credit pull. I don't mean some type of soft pull that, I'm talking about run your credit, man. Let's get the pre-approval done. Give me your W-2s. Give me your pay stubs. Let's tighten it up. Get the approval letter out to you because we're about to go into a war here. If these rates go down, you're going to go up against 6 other people. And if that pre-approval is not solid, we got a problem, right? You got a problem. I don't, because I told you up front that you needed to get the pre-approval done. But now you're scrambling saying, "Alex, please call me at 5 o'clock on a Saturday. I know you're with your family, but I still need your help," right? Because I got to get this offer in tonight, and I never did my approval, even though you told me the last 6 weeks that I should be doing my approval. It's comical. You're worried about your credit being ran. What, you're going to lose a couple points? You're probably not even going to lose a couple points. You probably lose maybe 1 point on credit, but at least you can sleep at night knowing that when I go to the open house on Sunday, I have a pre-approval letter from Green Tree Mortgage from Alex Taberne, and it's solid. And if I make an offer today, I'm ready to go. So that's my 2 cents on that. The pre-approval is a big thing right now. I think you really need to get your stuff in order and get that done. The question was, why do I need to be afraid to run my credit? I don't know why you're afraid. Are you afraid because you think that you are embarrassed? Listen, I run credit all day, every day. So does Green Tree. So does every mortgage company. That's all we do. We just run credit. It takes us 30 seconds to run credit. Date of birth, social, name, address. Okay? Run the credit. You're afraid because we're going to see your credit score and we're going to judge you. We're not going to judge you. We don't care. Just like people think that if you're going to see what's in my bank statement. Of course, I'm going to see what's in your bank statements. You're asking us to lend you $500,000. We're going to see what's in your bank account. We don't care, though. I don't care you went to McDonald's. I don't care that you charged CVS and you bought. We don't. It's crazy what people. Oh, well, I made a couple purchases at Toys R Us, and we're not looking for Toys R Us. We're looking for the money that's needed for closing, right? We're looking for large deposits. Maybe somebody dumps some cash into your account. We want to know where that came from. We don't care about all these little things that are happening in your life. Believe me, we look at it all day. So don't be afraid to give us your bank statements. And don't be afraid for us to run your credit. And don't be afraid of us to look at your W-2. You think you didn't make enough money? Let us be the judge of that. Okay? Don't come to me and say, "Oh, well, I only make $60,000 a year." Okay, then I get their W-2s and they make 70. Some people don't even know what they make. This is crazy. They think they make 60. We do the income calculation, they make 70. And then it's a make or break on the deal. Like now you're approved versus you weren't approved. But if you verbally give me this stuff and you really don't know, it's a problem, right? So you got to have your pre-approval done. I circled that because it's a big one. It was a big one at the beginning of the spring market. It's going to be an even bigger one as we get into September once they cut the rates. So look out. Okay, so I posted this week, and it got a lot of traction. So I figured I'd add it in the show tonight because I think that it was a big one. Why is it important to work with a local loan officer? Now, I've said this to a lot of agents on the show. I've asked them this specific question, and of course, they would give me the answers that I want to hear. But I'm not going to go through all the answers of why you should work with a local loan officer because I've been beating this in your head for the last 6 months. You're probably tired of me saying it because all I do is pitch local, 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 and you're probably saying, "Well, I got a rate of 6.5 from the guy that works in the bank at California, Alex. He's not local, but he gave me a better rate, and he seems nice on the phone, And I looked up his pictures on Facebook, and he seems like a nice guy. Great, wonderful. Here's the deal, right? The reason why, and I put one point here of why you should work with a local loan officer. I'm not going to go through the 10-point list that I could and bore you to death for the next hour. I'm going to go right for the throat here. We work weekends, okay? We work weeknights. We work early in the morning. We work Sunday to Sunday. We leave the beach to take the phone call. We go on cruises in a cabin and talk on a cabin, all right, while our kids are not even around and we're still working, okay? We get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and start taking phone calls or emails because no one else is. That is the difference with a local loan officer. We're not 9 to 5. We're not Monday to Friday, all right? That guy from California that I just talked about, he's a nice guy, okay? He gave me a great rate, but he's only available Monday to Friday from 9 to 5, okay? And his company just told you that they can't close deals anything less than 60 days. We're a local lender. We're not only going to do the pre-approval for you at 3 o'clock on a Saturday when your guys are not around, nobody's around on Monday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to deliver you to closing within 30 days because we're local and we can move fast. These other guys, they're saying, oh, well, it's going to take us 45 to 60 days. You know why? Because you're a corporate company in California that doesn't care if Joe Schmo closes in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania by the 45th day. You're just another number. Local, we care because we talk to the local agents here. I'm friends with a lot of the Philly agents here that I live with. I'm friends with a ton of New Jersey agents where my business began. We're local. We know each other. We know how we move. Everybody helps each other. We work as a team. But the key here is we work Sunday to Sunday when to get the business done. I've trained every loan officer that I've ever had to work all week, night and day. And I know that sounds like a cliche thing to say, oh, he says he works 7 to 7. No, it's the truth. Because I wouldn't be as successful as I was. And you talk to the biggest loan officers in this business, the guys that have been in it as long as me, you know what their biggest thing is? I've never stopped working for the last 25 years. They just worked. They worked around the clock because they gave their life to the business, because they knew they had to in order to be a success and make money. So I'm going to stop preaching there because, Jack is getting a little bit upset probably. Like, look at his face. He's not liking what I'm saying at all. So I'm gonna calm it down, and we're gonna go something a little rosier here. Just some key stats that I wanted to bring out as we get into the refinance world. A lot of people asking me, how do I refinance? I have an FHA loan, I have a VA loan, I have a conventional loan. Great, I love all of them, right? Just to let you know, FHA to FHA is called a streamline. There's no appraisal required, no closing costs, no income verification. You come to me and you have an FHA loan and the rates go down to 6% even, you have 7.5%, let's talk about a streamline, okay? VA to VA, beautiful. You have a VA rate of 7% right now, the rates go down to 6% even, I'm gonna take you from a VA to VA streamline. You know what that means? No closing costs, no appraisal, no income verification. The two key things with a streamline, please take notes because I know a lot of people out there have FHA loans and VA loans because I did a lot of them over the last X amount of years. You cannot have a late mortgage payment in the last 12 months. No late payments on the mortgage in the last 12 months. As long as you don't have any late payments in the last 12 months, we're done. I'll see you at closing. Everything else is gravy on a streamline. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments. Oh, well, you don't. No, I know what I'm talking about because I've closed many FHA loans, many VA loans, streamlines specifically. I'll bring my processor on the phone. I'll conference her in right now. She'll tell you, she's half dead from me. She's probably cursing my name because we did so many of them. So streamline's beautiful. Conventional, don't get lied to on that. There is no such thing as a conventional to a conventional streamline. There might be lenders out there that say it's a streamline, but they're still going to most likely do an appraisal. They're going to verify your income, and there are going to be closing costs. The closing costs are going to be rolled into the loan. So they're going to act like there's no closing costs, but they're actually going to bump your loan amount and pump the money into the loan. And then they're going to do an appraisal. It's going to go through underwriting. It's a true loan, guys. It's not just a streamline where you're just blowing through and they made their payments on time and let's just approve them. They're going to look at your credit scores. There's a lot more involved with a conventional to conventional. But the beauty of conventional is you might have PMI. You've been waiting to get rid of the PMI. So we'll knock the PMI out when we do that streamline, right? So you won't have to pay that monthly anymore. And you can still reduce that rate pretty good. So you'll see sometimes an even bigger savings on a conventional to a conventional refinance versus an FHA to an FHA. So whatever you have, we do them all. Even USDA, if you have a rural area that you live in and you got a USDA guaranteed loan and you want to do a USDA streamline, we can help you with that too. So, but just know your differences of what you can do. Don't let someone tell you, well, you have an FHA loan, you have to go into a conventional loan. You don't have to. You could do the streamline. And if you have a VA loan, you don't have to go into an FHA loan. You just go VA to VA and we're done. So usually you want to drop at least 1 point, right? So everybody's asking me now, well, what's it make sense on for me to refinance? Should I, what if I have 7%? Should I wait for it to go to 6%? Should I wait for it to go to 5%? Should I do it at 6.5%? Like, what's the key number for me to make sense in order for me to refinance? And in my career and all the refinances that I've pitched, it's usually 1 point, right? So 1 point is to make sense. Anything over 1 point usually is gravy. Anything less than 1 point than what you have, we really got to look at it. Like, I got some people that are refining people for a 0.5 point lower or a 1/4 point lower on your rate. You're going from 7% to 6.75. What? For what reason? I mean, you're saving what, $30 a month? You're going to wind up paying some closing costs sometimes. It's not worth it. Even though it's streamlined, it's stupid. It's got to make sense to the borrower in order to do it. So, but if you come to me and you have 7% and you're going to 6%, you're dropping 1 full point, then we're talking. Then I think that is where it starts to make sense, is that 1 point or as close to 1 point as you can get. And again, if you're over 1 point lower than what you have, it really makes sense to do. So that's coming. I wanted to throw a fact out there that one of my mentors had told me over the last few weeks, and I wrote it down because I tried to memorize it, but I'm getting old, so my memorization is getting slow. But there are people that are buying homes, but they're not only buying them to build equity and wealth. All right, everybody says to me, "Oh, I'm going to buy a home because I want to build wealth." Right? I want to gain equity. I want to become rich off of investments and rich off of real estate. That's great. I mean, that's really the point of it, right? I mean, you want something to pass on maybe to your children, or you want something that that you can live off of possibly as a passive income, so that you don't have to work as hard as you do 20 years from now. I'm all for it. I mean, building wealth is the key here to real estate. But there are also people that are buying for emotional reasons, right? They're buying because they just want to buy something to make them happy. They want to create happiness in a nicer house for them. Maybe they want to go to a bigger house because they have a growing family and they want their kids to live in a better neighborhood, right, than they live in. Maybe they want their kids to go to a better school. Maybe they want to be closer to family. A lot of people want to move back to where mom was. A lot of people want to move back to the old neighborhood where they grew up. There's a lot of factors that go into buying real estate other than just making money. Okay. And that once you start to realize that, you'll understand that, you are not just doing this to make a quick buck. You could do that because people have made a living off of that. But you got to understand that when you're a real estate agent or a loan officer, the people that are buying houses are sometimes, or most of the time, also buying them because of emotional reasons. They have their reasoning. They want to put their kid in a better school system. They want to, they want a better life. So take that into consideration sometimes when you're, and this is, I'm speaking to the loan officers and realtors directly. There's a human on the other side of the thing. I mean, how many people I've gone to closing, they've cried. They've actually cried and hugged me like they've known me forever. And I only knew him for 30 days while the deal was in process. And I didn't even meet him face to face. I've only talked to him over the phone. And then I went to closing and they were crying because they moved to a neighborhood that they always dreamed of moving to, that they have friends or family that live there. And they didn't even, and I said, and here I am, the salesman at the table saying, oh, well, you're building wealth, right? This is great that you did it for equity. And they're looking at me like I'm nuts, right? They didn't do it for that. They did it because they're a human being and they bought it because they wanted to better their life. So, that just goes out to it. That struck me because sometimes we get so caught up in and this goes back to you're in it for the money. You get so caught up in let's just close the deal. Right. And let's just tell the people that they're going to do good because they're building equity. You're right on that. They are going to build equity. But sometimes look past that and you'll see that there's actually a human being and there's a reason why. And a lot of these people, they come to the closing and they have a baby with them, a newborn. And the newborn sits in the corner of the room at the closing. And here I am signing the papers with the buyers. That hits me. They're buying that kid their first home to move into. That kid's probably going to grow up in that home. Right. So there's an emotional attachment to these deals, every single deal. So just don't look at it as, oh, well, they're buying it because they're going to make money off of it. Sure, they're going to make money off of it because real estate appreciates, right? You make money off of real estate once you go to sell. But that's really not the case of every situation. So I wanted to bring that up because that hit me. And I think that's a big one. All right. So I don't have too much more. I want to hit on the importance of disclosing pertinent information up front. Let me read that back again. The importance of disclosing pertinent information up front at the time of an application for a mortgage. Okay. Here's the deal. We're going to interview you up front, right? We're going to find out what you do and, where you work and how much money you have in the bank and what you did in your past and where the money's going right now and who gave you the money and, why did you switch jobs and what's your job title? And we want to know everything, right? And you gotta be honest. You gotta be honest with us up front. The importance of disclosing pertinent information up front could save you headaches down the road, okay? And I've seen it time and time again. You didn't tell us that you were paying child support. We should have asked, okay? That is a question on the application that's asked up front. Do you pay child support or alimony? The unfortunate reality is most loan officers, I'm not going to say most because I'll get trashed on that. I'm going to say some, okay? Some loan officers pass over that question. They forget to ask if they're paying child support or alimony. That's a big make or break on the deal. If I find out you're paying $1,000 a month in child support and you didn't tell me up front and I forgot to ask, which is my fault that I forgot to ask, but if I didn't and you didn't disclose it then, we got a problem. Because once we add in $1,000 a month in child support, you don't qualify anymore. The importance of disclosing that type of pertinent information up front is huge. You're getting a divorce. Let me know you're getting a divorce because most likely you're going to have to pay something, right? Whatever you're going to pay alimony, you're going to pay, whatever you're going to pay. You're going to have to give up 50% of your assets. We need to know. We need to know what's going on. You plan on buying this house, but you never plan on moving into it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? So it's when you sign something to say that you're going to buy a home as your primary residence, that means you're supposed to move into it. You sign an affidavit at closing that says, I'm going to move into this home within the next 60 days, okay? That's an affidavit to say that I'm not lying to you, Green Tree Mortgage, or any mortgage company I'm dealing with. I'm actually going to move into this home in the next 60 days. If you sign that affidavit and then you go and rent that sucker out a month later, even before the first mortgage payment is due, which is people are so stupid, they rent it out 2 weeks later after they close, there could be an audit, right? And if there's an audit that's done, which is very likely in this market because things are different than they were the last 5 years. So it's very likely that they may do an audit and they find out that you lied and that you bought this house as an investment right off the bat and signed something to say it's your primary residence and you're caught. They're going to call the loan on you, right? It's called fraud. And you're going to have a problem. They're going to probably sue you. They're going to call the note and you may lose the house right away, if not have a lawyer up your butt for a long time fining you. So I don't know if it's worth it. I think it's more worth it if you give the pertinent information up front that we need to know. Yes, it's going to be my primary residence. I'm not lying. Yes, it's going to be an investment property. I'm going to rent it out. I'm not lying. it's going to save you a lot of heartache in the end. So anyway, okay. So people keep asking me, why do I want to work with real estate agents all the time? Like, why are me and my team always pushing to work with more real estate agents? We feel strongly about supporting real estate agents every day. Real estate agents are the reason why the market goes, and 90% of the people, and you could question my guideline on this, or my stats on this, actually, the stats. But I'm going to tell you, everybody goes to a realtor first. Very rarely do they go to the loan officer first to say, I want to buy a house. They're going to go to the realtor first and say, who do you recommend for us to go to that we could use for a mortgage, right? So we support real estate agents big time because they are the front line. And if you don't support them as a loan officer, then you're probably not going to make it very long. You can live off of refinances all you want, but they don't last forever, as you learned over the last 2 years when the rates went to 8% and there were no refinances. You're out of the business now. So it's not just about marketing, and it's not just about whining and dining them. And real estate agents are the key to home ownership, right? They're the people that are going to really take you out, show you a house. I'm not a realtor. So if you're thinking, well, why is he talking? I'm not a realtor. I'm a loan officer, but all I've done my whole career is work with realtors. And I know their value because I deal with them day in and day out, and we need them. Knowledge is power, and they have the knowledge that you need to navigate to closing, right? The last thing I'm going to touch on is the buyer settlement that's coming up next month. We've been asking this question to every realtor over the last 6 episodes. What do you think about the new NAR settlement agreement that's coming up in August here, which we're only 1 month away now? I remember talking about it back in March, and now we're here. Is everybody scared? I think now it's set into everybody now that it is what it's going to be, right? So you can't get around it unless they delay it. You just roll with the punches now. You show your worth. You let them know how valuable you are in the transaction, and that's it. As a loan officer, it's business as usual. We work hard. You work with your realtors to get your deals done, and you know your stuff. So I think that the worry is probably gone. I think your true realtors are now accepted that I'm just going to work as hard as I can and block out the noise, and the loan officers are here to support them. If you're not supporting them, then I don't know how long you're going to make it in this business. So it's not going to be long, right, Jack? Right. So he agrees with me back there as I turn around and check him out. I know he's back there watching the show. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to bring on some very good realtors. We had a very big track record of realtors that had come on originally. The first 26 shows here, I've had some really, really sharp shooters, some really young guys to the really old veterans like myself. So we've had a lot of good people on here, but I'm going to really come out strong now. We're going to bring on some of the best is what I feel as we go into August, into September. So you need to hang, you need to take tidbits on the show. And, the more views that we get, the more comments and likes that you guys can give us, the more feedback that I can get, the better. I think that the information that we bring on the show every week is stuff that we see real time on the street, face to face. So if you're not finding value in it, then you're not alive. All right. You're not breathing. All right. So that's that. We move on. So next week, I'm not going to name the name because I did that before, then I jinxed myself. I said somebody was coming on, and then at the last minute they said they can't come on, and then I was here alone, right, doing this. So, but he's very good. He's coming in from KW next week, so that's the plan. And then from there we move on. So have a great week. Keep rolling and watch those interest rates because they're going to get good. And once they get good, I'll probably be too busy to do this show. So then you're going to be calling me saying, why am I not doing the show anymore? Right. So just watch out. I'll keep you updated as we go, and I will see you next week. Thanks.